Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning. How's everyone doing today? I hope everybody's ready for another Sunday show. Thank you for joining me, guys. Good morning. So, guys, we're at show number 68, one show away from 69. I know how you guys are excited about that. But I think the shows are going really great. I'm always looking forward to the Sunday shows because I know I can count on you guys to show up. And every Sunday we have a few more new faces out there, so that's pretty good. I'm happy to see that happening. And I'm looking forward to spending another Sunday with you guys. So I wanted to start the show by welcoming everyone who hasn't already been part of this show and maybe doesn't know what the show's all about. I'll give a little bit of a description. So basically, our Sunday show is all about gear. It's all about being addicted to gear and really the love of playing music and just, loving your guitars and loving your amps and just uh, looking forward to spending time with instruments. I think a lot of us out there, at least I know I am, I guess, motivated to play my guitar because of the fact that I love gear, but also because I just feel a connection with other people that are into gear so much and really just get so much love and enjoyment out of playing their instruments. And that's basically what the whole channel is about. So if you haven't already checked out my videos, just go on there and there's a whole bunch of videos on different gear that I've played over the last few years. My videos actually go back probably over 10 years. The earlier ones are a little embarrassing, and to be honest with you guys, I think I'm going to probably do a reaction video of me just going back and watching a few of my very early videos that were far from being professionally shot and recorded. But at that time, I was just basically just doing it to share information more than anything. I wasn't really trying to establish a channel or anything like that. It was just, sharing what I liked about a specific instrument or guitar or amp. That was basically the the entire scope of it. There was nothing else beyond that. So they were kind of shot very quickly, and I didn't have great gear or great lighting or anything like that. But hey, about 10 years later, I'm still doing it, so it's gotta say something about loving gear, right? So let's go jump in right into who's here today and just say hi to the boys and welcome everyone here. And I had asked a question while you guys were waiting for the show to start, and the question was basically how much, what is the most you've ever spent on a guitar? And the reason I've asked that question is actually a two-part question because I did actually put a poll on YouTube where I broke it down into segments. How much, and the question on the poll was slightly different. It was, if you found your dream guitar today, how much would you be willing to spend on your dream guitar? And I figured asking the poll question and asking the question about how much you've actually spent, what's the max you've spent on a guitar to date, kind of would put things into perspective, right? So we'll get to that in a minute. Let me just say hi to everybody here and welcome the boys and the people that are already here today. So Cushman, how you doing, my friend? Jack Collins, nice to see you here today this morning. Hope you're doing well, Jack. Wayne, good morning. Fat Philosopher, good evening to you, my friend. Box Guitars Rock, nice to see you as well, man. Cool Tunes Made Easy, Darwin, Bruce, Rich, Christian. We got a nice turnout today. Quicksilver, Gospel of Mark. Um, Keith is here as well. Cranar. Hey, man, it's a nice turnout. I'm glad you guys are waking up so early to join me here today. I feel really, what's the word? I feel I'm getting the warm and fuzzies when I see the familiar faces all the time. I think that's great. I'm glad you guys are enjoying what I'm putting out there and taking the time to come back and join me. Everybody's got a busy day, so I know how it is. So let's get to some of the answers. I think Cushman piped in and said he spent $3,500 on an R8 first owner. And that's not a bad deal if you consider how much those R8s are going for today. So I think this may have been a while ago, Cushman, or is this recent? Because if it's recent, that's a pretty decent deal, I think. Jack says, I've only spent $600 on any of his guitars, and he's got 16. So Jack, I think you're kind of like me, buddy. You don't like to spend a lot of money. I did spend more than $600 on a guitar, but I try to keep the budget, the spending budget reasonable, but it's getting harder and harder every day. The prices just keep going up. Cushman also says he's trying to cut down on guitars. He's got 11 right now, and he's trying to cut down. So Cushman, what is the magic number? How many guitars would you like to get it down to? Is it just one or two? Or is it in the two digits? Jack's not trying to slow down at all. I don't think I'm trying to slow down either. I mean, I don't really have a magic number of guitars in my head. I just want to be able to enjoy the ones that I have. So whether it's 1 or 10 or 20 or whatever it is, I just want to enjoy them. If I'm not enjoying them, and I also think, and I've said this many times before, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but as you get more guitars that you really are happy with, so in other words, if you eliminate the ones that are just filler guitars or just scratching an itch temporarily, I think you become happier with your collection, and you might feel less enticed or less tempted, I guess is the right word, when you're out there and looking at other guitars. And Jack says when he says he's addicted to gear, he's addicted to gear. Yeah, we're not fooling around here, guys. This is a very serious channel. I got to tell you guys a funny story, actually. If you guys want to hear something funny, I went to a guitar store because I had to buy a pot, not pot, but a pot. And I went to a guitar store. And I figured I'd pick up a few little things, a pot, I needed some strings, whatever. And at the same time, I take some time to go there and take a look at the guitars, because I haven't actually stepped foot in a guitar store since the COVID thing happened, right? So I went to my local shop, and it's a little bit out of the way. It's quite a drive, so I don't go there every day. And I walk in, and first of all, the place is pretty big. And there was nobody waiting, so there was no lineup or anything, because now with certain stores, you're only allowed a certain amount of people within the space, depending on how big the space is. Now, needless to say, this guitar store is quite large, so I'm sure they can fit quite a few people. So anyways, long story short, I walk in, and as soon as you get in the door, there's like this rope, like at a bank or something, that you can't cross, right? And you have to wait for somebody to come and greet you. So I'm standing there. So this woman comes to greet me, and she says, "Yes, can I help you? Like, what do you need?" So, I'm like, usually I didn't have anything specific I was looking for. I figured I would just walk in, browse a little bit, but I told her, I said, "Listen, I need some strings, I need a pot, I need a couple of things." So she's okay. She lets me in. She takes the rope off the thing so I can walk in the store. And the store is virtually empty. I mean, there's probably 3 customers in the store, right? And the store could probably fit hundreds of customers. It's that big. There's more staff working there than there is customers in the store. So, anyways, I go in, and she's like, "Okay, here's the section where the pot is," and of course they didn't have the one that I needed, so she had to go get it in the back. And anyways, long story short, it was a very awkward experience, because I normally would walk in and look at the guitars and maybe play a couple. Well, you're not allowed to touch the guitars because, with COVID, anything you touch needs to be disinfected. So, like, it was a very cold, awkward experience. So I basically took the pot, got my strings, got the hell out of there, and not that I was enticed by anything that they had, because actually it's always run of the mill stuff that they have there. There's nothing really interesting, and at the same time, the prices are quite high. I mean, I get more of a thrill these days shopping in a used guitar shop, because you can find some really interesting pieces there, and things that are not really common or a little bit more rare and obscure, and there's more variation, I think. So, anyways, long story short, I don't think I'm going to go back. I mean, honestly, it's getting more and more difficult, at least now with COVID, to get that experience of, like, trying out some guitars, and being able to see what you like and maybe be tempted by something. So I think more and more of us are going to be shopping online. I think it's just going to turn into, buying guitars sight unseen, which is kind of sad that it's turning into that. But that's what it is. Um, so I don't know. Have you guys experienced something like this? I mean, is this just happening in my neck of the woods temporarily? I hope it's temporary, because it's not very enticing to the music business, and I think stores are already struggling trying to sell their wares in a brick and mortar store as opposed to online. So it could only hurt them. So I'm wondering what the actual sales situation will be. Although they say that they've had record amount of guitar sales during COVID, because people are buying them online. Anyways, that's my story of this week. It's just a weird thing. Yeah, man. Gospel of Mark. Absolutely. Like, you said it. It's like whenever, I don't know if here. Let me. I hate when you go to a guitar place and you ask to try a guitar, and the staff, you know, they're just basically looking at you, and it's like, yeah, it's awkward. What I hate even more than that, Mark, is I hate when you get the guys that just stand over you. Like, they don't do that much anymore, but they used to do this quite a bit. And it depends which store you're walking into. If it's a store that pays their staff commission, they tend to be more pushy, so that they're always around you. You're trying out stuff, and they're standing, they're hovering, they're looking. Are you interested? Are you gonna buy it? Should I wrap it up for you? I'm like, dude, take it easy. It's like, I just played this thing. I'm just playing this thing for like 30 seconds. It's like, I can't make it up my mind that quick. They expect you to drop $2,500 like that. It doesn't work that way. So anyway, maybe I'm just bitching, but that's the experience I had there. Larry says, I was in the Guitar Center a few days ago, and they're switching the wall hangers to a locking mechanism. Their inventory was extremely small. Oh man, that is the worst. That's the worst. Well, you know what? If a guitar is locked, so you can't take it off the hanger and try it, like, I understand they don't want their stuff to get ruined, and I've been in stores where the guitars are banged up. I mean, they're brand new guitars, and they're banged up, they're scratched, there's knobs missing. There's already, like, I don't want to buy a guitar with scratches in it. So I totally understand why they would be locking them up. But on the other hand, you got to try them. And if you look, the one I went to, they're not locking them up, but anything above $1,000 is like 2 or 3 tiers up. Like, they need to get a walking ladder to be able to get the stuff. Like, especially if you're looking at the more expensive Paul Reed Smith guitars, or the more expensive Gibsons or whatever, you can't reach them. They're like 20 feet up in the air. You know what I mean? Which is like stupid. I don't know. It just ruins the whole experience, I think. Vox Guitar says, my local store rocks. Last time I was there, I was trying out the 20-watt Marshall, and the guitar guy yells at me, crank the damn thing up. That's nice. That's the type of shop you want to be shopping in. I don't understand why more shops don't have soundproof booths. There used to be a very small guitar shop. This was probably 20, more, maybe 30 years ago, I would say. small guitar shop that was local here, and it was great because they had like very small booths. They were the size of changing booths, maybe a bit bigger, slightly bigger, but they were all soundproof. So you could take an amp or you can take a guitar or whatever it is, go into one of these soundproof proof booths. They had a sliding glass door so they can see that you're not like wrecking anything. And you could crank the heck out of these things and really hear what they sound like. You know, like you want those tubes to be cooking. You want the tubes to be like, and that was like, I miss that. That's really what I would like them to do. It would be great if more stores were doing stuff like that. I agree. Pushy store clerks, that's one thing I can't take it. Yeah, I can't take it. And I'll be honest with them. I said, dude, like I'm not gonna buy anything today. I'm just looking. So let me be. And I think if you tell them straight out, they're not gonna waste the time with you and they're gonna go to someone else, which is just fine. I prefer to only go to mom and pop stores. Luckily, where I live, there's a couple of places where you can play stuff, no problem. I like that too, but there's less and less mom and pop stores. They're all being taken over by these big guitar chains, which unfortunately only have standard stuff. I mean, they all have the typical same amp line, same guitar line. It's pretty sad. There's only a couple of places here that are great because they're very, very small, used guitar shops, but they get great stuff. Like you're gonna find old Gretches there. You're gonna find vintage guitars that are really beautiful amplifiers that are awesome. And the great thing is like every day you walk in that place, they have something new or different. So you want to keep going back. Whereas the guitar centers, it's always the same stuff week after week. You go back, 2 months later, it's the same stuff. It gets really boring. We need a little bit more variety. Quicksilver says that's exactly like Foot Locker, always asking, "Can I help you?" Which is not bad, but can I at least have 5 minutes to take a look around? Exactly, exactly. And then you have the opposite. You do, in some cases, have the opposite where you're trying to get the attention of a salesperson and they're not giving you the time of day. It's almost like they're purposely trying to avoid you. As soon as you make eye contact, they go and they're off somewhere else, and you can't get served. If I just walk in a store and I just need a couple of picks and some strings, I don't want to waste 45 minutes waiting to get somebody's attention. Bruce says my local guitar center would scrutinize the customers going into the high-end room, including me. But once they got to know me and my buying habits, I was treated like royalty. Yeah, a friend of mine told me a really funny story, and I kind of, he had the habit of going into a guitar shop during lunchtime because there was one close by. And sometimes, you're working and you just want to get out of the office and you want to do something different. So you grab a bite to eat, you go over to your local shop, play a few guitars, just to pass a half an hour and just play a little bit. So he was in the habit of doing this, and he was regularly doing this, right? And the guys kind of got fed up of him like walking in there time and time again and not buying anything. And he would ask them to try a guitar here and a guitar there, whatever. They would spend their time with him, and then he would just maybe walk out with like three picks. So at the end of the day, I think one of them let him have it, and then like got pissed off at him, whatever, and actually told him like, dude, this is not like a library where you come in and you try stuff and not not ever buy anything. So I think that kind of left a bad taste in his mouth. I don't know if he ever went back there, but I'm pretty sure he didn't really buy anything there either. Seth says I have to avoid guitar stores like alcoholics avoid bars. I'm not that bad. I'm not that bad, but I do get enticed by used stuff. I get way more enticed by used gear because I prefer to buy used just because it's a better deal all around, and you can get some really cool stuff. So I have to be careful when I'm scrolling on, internet sites that sell gear, because you know that's my weakness. I gotta be careful with that. Anyway, so today, guys, we're at show number 68. I wanted to say, I don't know what to call this show. I mean, I referred to it as our Sunday live show, the Addicted to Gear Sunday live show. I'm trying to think of something catchy to call the show, so that it's a little bit more, let's say, branded, but I haven't come up with anything interesting. So I don't know if you guys maybe have a couple of suggestions, because I just feel like it's a little bit ambiguous. I don't know. So if you guys have any suggestions for it, let me know. I'm open to suggestions for sure. Um, and if there's any Led Zeppelin fans out there, I don't know if you've heard or not, but apparently there was some kind of a poll done, and the Whole Lot of Love riff got voted like the the best riff of all time. So I'm a big Led Zeppelin fan. I mean, I love Led Zeppelin, you know, and I understand that Jimmy Page has so many great timeless licks. I mean, that's what he's known for. He's some of these beautiful licks, from Heartbreaker to Whole Lot of Love, Communication Breakdown. Like, the list goes on and on. So it's pretty cool that the actual Whole Lot of Love got voted the best riff of all time. I just don't know how they actually do this. I mean, who votes on this? I didn't vote on it. And I don't know if, I mean, would I consider Whole Lot of Love to be the best riff of all time? I mean, there's a lot of great riffs, but I mean, I have to admit, like, that riff, it's a couple of seconds long, and you immediately, like, you know who it is, right? You know it's Led Zeppelin. You know it's got attitude. It's got that raunchy sound, that sort of classic raunchy sound. It's a great riff. But I'm thinking, like, there's so many other great riffs that exist. Like, how did they limit the other ones, or how did they eliminate the other ones? I mean, I think Bad Company. Um, you know, when you have that beautiful classic, and that too. I mean, you hear that riff already, you know who it is. Uh, you got some Hendrix licks that are beautiful. You got Smoke on the Water. You got a bunch of Van Halen riffs, obviously, too. AC/DC. I mean, there's a lot of timeless classic riffs. Um, but I kind of agree. I mean, that oh, that riff. It's simple, and you know right away who it is. So I can't really argue with that. And like I said, I'm a big Jimmy Page fan, so I'm proud that Jimmy Page got voted in for the best riff. I mean, that picture right there on the wall, that's Jimmy Page. He's he's one of my all-time guitar heroes. If I could only meet one guitar hero, it would be Jimmy Page. I'd love to be able to just sit with him, hang with him, even for like 10 minutes, man. It'd be great. At one point, he was signing his book, and it was in Toronto. I was tempted to drive and just to be able to stand in front of the guy, maybe shake his hand. I don't even know if you were even allowed to shake his hand. He wasn't even signing the book, by the way. He was just stamping it. He stamped it with his signature. The guy's not stupid. I mean, signing his book is going to be super valuable when he passes away. So he's just stamping it. I mean, it's all figured out. I mean, it's crazy. But I would have killed to have him sign it. That would have been fantastic. I know some friends that went and actually did it and got the book. And man, if he ever comes back, I'm gonna have to do it. It's just a shame he didn't come. He didn't come to my city, or else I would have been there in a heartbeat. I could just imagine the lineup. I mean, you would probably have to like stand in line for 3 days just to get in. Jimmy Page is definitely the reason why I started playing guitar. I mean, I'm thinking back before Led Zeppelin. The only thing that I was listening to as a younger person before Led Zeppelin was the Beatles. And after that, after that, I got into Led Zeppelin. I got into Van Halen, the Stones, a lot of classic rock bands. But Led Zeppelin, when I heard that riff, Heartbreaker riff on the radio, the solo of that riff, it just blew my socks off. I'm like, I don't know what I was listening to. It sounded like just a fury of notes. It was dirty. It had attitude. It was like fast. It was rock and roll. The time signature changes when the drums come back in. It's just like, wow, this is like something else. I hadn't heard anything like that till then. You know. Cool Tune said, yeah, my buddy met him at the signing. Didn't shake hands. He just asked my friend his name. Yeah, I mean that's so bad. I mean that's too bad, you know. But I understand. I mean, it's Jimmy Page. The guy's like Jimmy Page, you know. Who else is gonna be able to wear the dragon pants with the stars on it, with velvet and no top, with the German SS cap or whatever that thing was? I mean, you can't do that today. You can't do that today. But in those days, that was rock and roll, man. That was rock and roll. The other thing that is underappreciated is just the value and the musicianship of every single person in that band. That's, I think, the why Led Zeppelin was to me like amazing. It was just like every unit in that band was solid. There was no slouches. Like John Paul Jones on bass is killer, man. If you listen to some of his bass lines, it's just amazing. It's like some of the stuff that he comes out with. It's just so heavy and so much in the pocket of the groove. Of course, John Bonham. I mean, John Bonham was like Thunderfoot. You know, the stuff that he was doing with the bass drum pedal. Uh, and in those days, I don't think he was even using a double bass drum. He was doing double bass drum stuff with a single bass drum. You know, and the ghost notes that he was playing, just amazing stuff. Of course, Robert Plant with those high pitched vocals that people are still trying to emulate today, and just amazing, just amazing. I never got a chance to see them live, unfortunately. Cushman, I'm jealous, man. I'm jealous. I never got to see them live, but in a way, I'm happy that I didn't because the time that they were touring, um, already Robert Plant's voice was kind of had it. He wasn't able to hit those high notes. His voice was cracking whenever he would try to hit the high notes. Um, and John Bonham wasn't around anymore. So to me, I'm happy I didn't see them live because I remember Led Zeppelin as listening to every single album in my basement on the record player over and over again, and stuff like In Through the Outdoor, which wasn't extremely popular, but there's great songs on that. Led Zeppelin 1, obviously, amazing. And just like practically wearing out the grooves on the records, just listening to them over and over again, trying to emulate some of those Jimmy Page riffs and stuff like that. But you just encouraged me to play. Seth says, "Oh, this is a question for Quicksilver. Have you ever played with the SY1 synth pedal? 80s glory on tap using your guitar. Is that one of those synth pedals that emulates like an organ or a synthesizer? I know that I believe Electroharmonics had some like that where you'd be able to play like an organ with a pedal. You can actually emulate those great organ riffs from Deep Purple. Is that what we're talking about?" Excuse me. This is funny. My older brother had a chance to see either Kiss live in Vancouver or Led Zeppelin live in Seattle. He went to Kiss. Moron. I agree. Oh man, that sucks. That sucks. I once I once had tickets to go see U2. They were playing at a live concert here outside, and at the same time, Paul McCartney was going to be playing at an indoor venue. Um, I've seen I've seen U2 before. They're a great band, but I never had an opportunity to see Paul McCartney. So I immediately traded those tickets for the Paul McCartney show, and I don't regret it one bit. I'm a big Beatles fan, and he did like his whole set. And this was just before, like, I find like now I've seen some videos of him playing recently, and he's pretty much done. I don't think he can do it anymore. He's at the age where his voice and the stamina is not there anymore. But when I got to see him, he still was able to crank it out. His band was amazing. The drummer was amazing. The guitarist and bass player were amazing. They did a fantastic show, and they played everything, all the old stuff. Like, I'm not a big fan of the newer Paul McCartney stuff. He threw in a couple of his songs, but it was like, I don't know, everybody was waiting for the old stuff. So when they got into Live and Let Die and all the classic Beatles songs, Come Together, and all these Helter Skelter and all the other classic songs, they were amazing. And I took my wife, and the funny thing is, at the end of Live and Let Die, when it picks up, there's a crescendo there, and it's like na 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 na. They had this series of fireworks going off in time with like these explosions happening and stuff like that, and these big flames. Like, I felt the heat, and I wasn't even that close to the stage. My wife must have jumped 4 feet off the chair when those explosions started happening. I kind of was expecting it because I knew that's kind of how they did that particular song, but it was something amazing to see, and I'll never forget my wife just jumping off the seats. It was so funny, but it was great, man. The show just gave me goosebumps. It was really great. Um, My best friend's father was at the Madison Square Garden concert when they recorded the song "Remains the Same." That's awesome. That's awesome. I've always wanted to be in the audience, just to be able to whistle something out and have it like saved timelessly on a recording. Yell something out. Sometimes you hear the people in the background, just saying something or yelling something, and it's like that's me. It's like timeless. It's captured forever. um, Never got the opportunity to do that, and I actually never think about doing that. But I haven't really been at a concert where they're actually recording it. But if I was, I'd probably do that. I'd probably try. They probably edit it out anyway, but sometimes they don't. U2 concert, really something to watch. Seen them at the Sky Dome with Top Down, an amazing summer night. Everyone singing, just incredible feeling. Yeah. Well, the first one, I mean, now I gotta say, now I feel that U2 is they're just going through the motions. I mean, they're getting there, right? They're getting older. You can see Bono, he's kind of not as energetic anymore, and I mean, these guys are multi millionaires many times over, and they're not hungry anymore. I remember when I saw them the first time was the Joshua Tree concert, and I saw them in a huge stadium that fits 40,000 people. And at that time, I think Bono had broken his arm. I think he fell off a stage or something, and he had a broken arm, but he was still singing. And I still remember like it was yesterday when everybody was exiting the stadium. They had closed the show with uh, I think it was the song where at the last verse is, "How long could we sing this song?" And as everybody was exiting the stadium, walking into the streets late at night, there was like thousands of people, and everybody was singing because they got them singing along towards the end. And as each member left the stage, at the end, it was just Larry Mullen Jr. playing drums, just keeping beat, and everybody in the audience singing. And then he stopped playing the drums. Everybody was just continued singing and walked out of the stadium, walked down the street, and just kept on singing. It was like amazing. Like, this was the kind of effect that U2 had back in those days. They're still great. I mean, I still like them, but I don't know. Like, at this point, I'm kind of over them a little bit. But they definitely had that appeal. Like Bono was definitely the preacher character. The that everybody likes to listen to. So your friend was whistling during a Maiden concert. He got ejected. They were record while they were recording. I think Maiden might be a little bit more picky in terms of what goes on in their concert. I'll tell you a funny story. I don't know if I might have said this or recounted this story before, but a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, actually he plays drums in my band, and I've known him since I was a kid. Um, he was at one point one of the world champions for fencing and fencing with the swords, right? And as luck might have it, Bruce Dickinson is a really good fencer. He loves fencing. And at one point, he was actually he got an opportunity to fence with Bruce Dickinson as a part of a competition, right? And he met him. He was fencing with him, and that day he had to go to a concert. He had a concert here in town. So my friend, after fencing with him, drove him to the concert. Got a chance to watch the show. Got a chance to go backstage and stuff. And like amazing thing. Like who gets an opportunity to do that, right? Um, but I know for a fact that Bruce Dickinson, he's a clean living guy, right? He doesn't, smoke and drink or anything, and he's quite adamant about not having people smoking at his concert because of his voice. And he's actually, I think, refused to play concert because of the smoke, and he's probably like asked a few people, to stop doing certain things at his concert. I know there's a couple of things that are recorded, a couple of events like that are recorded and that you can see on YouTube. So an interesting event and character for sure. I honestly really enjoyed watching the Scorpions concert. They were flawless. Went by myself, but was in a group of girls. We were smoking weed and singing all the songs. What a feeling! Yeah, nowadays the smoking thing. I mean, it's funny because you don't. You go to a concert. I remember going to concerts where it was like full of smoke. Not just tobacco, but everything, right? And nowadays you can actually breathe at these concerts, which is great. I think I don't smoke. I don't smoke, so I don't tolerate that smell too much. But at the same time, like I went to a concert. It was the Australian Pink Floyd, which they did a fantastic job, by the way. Um, but when they were doing like the light show and stuff, it wasn't the same without the smoke. It was like it was too crisp. Like the smoke is what gives the ambiance at these concerts. So I kind of missed that part of it. The thing with these concerts when you're smoking with these and stuff going on at the concerts, I mean, there's a limit, right? I mean, I remember like it was yesterday. I'll never forget. I mean, it blew my mind because we went to watch Van Halen when they got back together with David Lee Roth. I saw them twice actually in that lineup with Wolfgang playing bass, and I was really excited because you finally get to see the same lineup except for Michael Anthony. Unfortunately, I think they could have invited him or should have invited him, but whatever. Anyways, I was so looking forward to the concert, and so I'm there and I'm waiting for the show to start, and this guy stumbles in. You can see that he's had clearly too much to drink or smoke. He was like, could barely stand up, and he's there and he's drinking and going at it, and he's just a few seats away, and then the concert starts, right? So everybody's like, oh, excited and standing up, and like this is the moment we've been waiting for. The show starts and they go into the songs. Sounds amazing. I look over, and this guy is passed out, like cold. Like he's like on the chair like this. I thought he was dead. He was like he didn't wake up till we were walking out. So he essentially didn't see any of the concert, which blew my mind. I mean, why would you even go to a concert if you're gonna miss the entire thing? It makes no sense, you know. But anyway, it was the funniest thing. It was amazing. It was really funny. Anyways, that's those are my stories. um, Bruce says I also got to see the Beatles at Shea Stadium. One of the benefits of being an old geezer. Yeah, you're lucky, man. Uh, those are things that those are things that I wish we had another opportunity to do. The bands that are out today, it's just not the same thing. I know I'm starting to sound like an old geezer, but that's just me. I mean, they don't have the same passion. At least the bands that are out there today. The only band that I feel still has some passion is Rival Sons. I don't know if you guys know this band. They're relatively, I mean, I wouldn't say new. They've been around for a few years, but like they haven't really broken it big time yet. They're getting more popular, but there's still a lot of people that don't know who they are. The singer's amazing. The guitarist is very unique. The drummer reminds me so much of John Bonham. It's not funny. He's got a lot of similar like feeling in his playing, and the bass player's awesome too. And they're really great. They're really a lot of soul in their music, a lot of bite, a lot of There's you can feel the energy. Um, I'd love to see them. They haven't come to my neck of the woods recently, but if they do, I'd love to see them. There's not that many people left that I'd like to go see nowadays. Um, I'll never forget somehow. I was at an Aldo Nova concert. I was front row. He was playing the guitar. I remember him hitting a power chord. I was in awe, of course. Didn't know what he did at the time. Yeah, man. I know. It's just a whole different feeling when you're standing there and your whole body's vibrating. You know. I got to see Rush a few times. Amazing concert, amazing performance. They blew my socks off. I was glad to see them before they actually broke up, and because they played again all their classics, and that's what people are going for. I remember one time going to see Santana, and it was a great concert, but everybody was waiting for the classics. He was playing a lot of his new stuff at the time, and people were like, okay, bearing through it. But as soon as they started with Black Magic Woman, Oyo Como Va, Samba Pati, all these things. That's when everybody, all right, this is what we're here for. Deep Purple still puts on an amazing show. Saw them at the Bell Center a couple of years ago. Totally amazing. Richie Blackmore replacement was incredible. Yeah, isn't it? Isn't Steve Morse replacing Richie now? He's been replacing for him for quite a few years, if I'm not mistaken. I agree. I mean, they still rock. I think mainly because the singer can still belt it out. It's amazing after all these years, he's still able to do it. And yeah, Steve Morse is a killer guitarist, very underrated. I agree. I agree with you. Steve Morse is actually a better guitarist than Richie Blackmore, strictly from a technical standpoint. Yep, I agree with you. Of course, he doesn't have the attitude Richie had, right? Richie was always pissed off for whatever reason. He didn't seem like a fun guy to be around. So let's talk about gear, guys. Let's talk about. I mean, we're talking about music. That's fantastic, but how about we talk a little bit about gear? I think that's what we're all here for. And we'll go back to the question of how much what's the maximum you spent on a guitar. For me, I think just to put it into perspective, I'm kind of frugal. I don't say cheap, I say frugal. I don't like to spend a lot of money on guitars unless I really have to, and I usually look for deals or work out a way to get some deals. I think the most expensive guitar that I purchased was my Gibson 335, which was over $2,000. All the other guitars that I have are under $2,000, and a lot of those are under 1,000. So I was lucky enough to be able to grab some really great deals when the prices were still affordable, and luckily I chose well because the guitars that I chose just went up in value, and I'm happy to have them in my collection. I'm just happy I hung on to them. Um, Installing my new to me Vegatrem later this weekend. Awesome, awesome. I think you're gonna love it, man. What guitar are you installing that on? Just for background. I love it. I still have it in my guitar, the Kramer Beretta that I put it in. Still in there. Didn't take it out. Wonderful. The only thing that the only regret, well, not regret. It's not a regret. The only comment I have on what they could potentially improve, A, is the price, because it's darn expensive. Because I honestly believe if these bridges were less expensive, they'd be on everyone's guitars. They're that good. I definitely buy two or three to put on other guitars, but they're too expensive. They're very expensive. They're well made. They're expensive. Um, the other thing would be just to smooth out some of the edges. I just feel like some of the edges are a little bit like they kind of like they're scratchy a little bit, depending on how you have it set up. And I that's one thing I don't like is scratchy bridge saddle screws and stuff like that because I tend to play my guitar with my palm on my bridge, and if the saddle screws are a little bit too high or scratchy or whatever, I'll just file them down. I'll file them down or just soften them out with a little bit of fine grit sandpaper so that they're smooth. It's not a big deal. I mean, it's repairable. But I feel that if you're going to be spending that kind of money, there's ways to fix that. Joey says at the low cost end of the spectrum, you have Dragonfire gearheads, both available on Reverb. GuitarFetish.com. They make great pickups. Used pickups are always a viable option. Yeah, I don't buy pickups by price. And actually, I'll go out of my way to try some pickups that are cheaper first, because often you could definitely scratch that itch with very affordable pickups. So I try to find a deal, and I'm super happy when I do find cheap, inexpensive pickups that sound great, because I feel like I won the lottery. You're like, man, these things sound amazing and they're not expensive, and let's keep it secret so nobody else knows this and the price doesn't go up. But I just find at the low end you have to kiss a lot of frogs before you actually find that prince. And when you do find that prince, it doesn't stay a secret too long, and then unfortunately the prices go back up. Putting together a custom bass today that I had built under 2 grand for a custom body and aluminum and graphite neck EMG active pickups. Sounds awesome. Sounds like it's going to be a killer instrument. I love being able to build my own guitars. Um, when I look at the custom shop stuff, I look at that and I'm like, all right, $4,000, $6,000 for a guitar that I know I can build and build it by hand, paint it myself, build it exactly the way I want with the components that I want. And I know I'm going to get 100% the look and feel that I'm after. So to me, that's a custom shop guitar. It's not going to be worth 4,000 or 6,000 bucks because obviously it's not being marketed. But I mean, I'm getting my fix with a guitar build that probably cost me well under 1,000 bucks, right? And you're getting amazing quality if you know how to build your stuff. So I'm rarely enticed by the custom shop stuff, but I am a sucker for, I will admit, I'm a sucker for a great vintage looking Les Paul. So if I look like at the new stuff, they're nice, but if I find something with that really nice thick ribbon flame, like they used to do, with the finish like they used to do, which are almost impossible to find, that really knocks my socks off. That's what I would snag up in a heartbeat. But they rarely are easy to find, and when you do find them, they cost a fortune. So you got to get really, really, really lucky. Larry says, I'm the kind of guy that can never ever find a deal, a good deal. Larry, it's getting harder, man. It's getting harder. Expensive pickups and a cheaper guitar. Thoughts? I've done that before. I've done it. Why not? I mean, if the cheap guitar plays well, why not invest in a good set of pickups and make it even better? Just crank it up a notch or two. But going back to Larry's question that you can never find a good deal, Larry, it's getting hard. It's getting hard. I'm helping a friend of mine try to source a Strat. I mentioned it last Sunday, I think. He's looking for a Strat. He's been kind of always wanting a Strat. So I said, look, I'm going to keep my eyes open for you. When I find a good deal, I'll let you know. And I sent him over like at least 2 or 3 different opportunities to get a really nice Strat at a what I think below market value. So the person selling it probably didn't know or whatever how much they're going for today or whatever, but a good opportunity, and they're always gone every time I send it to him. And I'm pretty active when I look at these things, so I tend to find them quick, and I send them over to him, and it's like you don't even have a chance to send an email, and it's already like, oh, sorry, someone's coming to get it, or sorry, it's sold. So you got to move fast. Like it's almost like the housing market now. I mean, if you hesitate, you lose it. So you have to have the money in your pocket ready to go. You got to know what you want, and when you see that deal, you just gotta go. Don't hesitate. And so he's installing it on an HSS modded Squire that I've put a lot of upgrades into. Found the trem on Reverb for a tick under 200 bucks US as an open box in black chrome. That's not bad. That's a decent deal. $200 US. Yeah, it's nice. I mean, a good bridge is going to cost, at least 150, 160 bucks. So 200 is not too bad. Look, if I'm all for upgrades, I'm all for upgrades. If you're going to make it better, why not? If you can make the guitars you have even more fun to play, why not? As a matter of fact, I'm playing this guitar today. This is a Sir Standard Pro that I've had for many, many years, and I've never actually got to bond with the HSS configuration. And I realize after so many years of owning this guitar, I'm just not a HSS guy. Give me single coils, I'm happy. Give me humbuckers, I'm happy. Give me a single humbucker, I'm happy. But mixing the humbucker with a single coil doesn't do it for me. There's just too much variation. It's like you're playing your guitar on the humbucker, then you go to a single coil. It sounds like not as punchy, not as, unless you got a really good set. I like the bite. I like the bite of the humbucker. You go to the single, not the same. So I've decided I don't want to sell this guitar because I got it at a really reasonable price. Actually, I didn't pay anything for it. I got it on a trade. I traded an amp for it, and the amp that I traded for it was not anywhere near the price of these guitars, especially now. Um, so I was debating whether or not to keep it, to sell it. I swapped the pickups on this thing to try a different set to see if I can get it to work better. I mean, the pickups are great. I have nothing against the pickups. It's just I don't like switching from humbucker to single coils. So what I decided to do was bite the bullet. I contacted Sir. I asked him to send me another pick guard, which I'm gonna be raped for, because the pick guard that they sell is like $70 US, plus I think another $30 for shipping. So I'm gonna be paying like $100 for a pick guard, which on any other day you can pick up for like $20 on eBay, right? But you can't get these pickups, these pick guards, because I want the pick guard that's going to fit in these holes. I don't want to drill new holes in the body. So anyways, I asked them to cut me a new pick guard exactly the same, just with a humbucker configuration. And I'm going to switch the pickups and put another humbucker in there. And I think it's going to be great. I don't hate the guitar. I love the guitar. It's got a wonderful neck. It plays great, stainless steel frets. Nothing wrong with it. But the pickups didn't do it for me. So why should I leave it the way it is? Yeah, well, that's what I'm gonna do. Quicksilver says, just get a loaded pick guard, then swap it out as a whole in case you want to switch back. I can do that. I can just pull this out completely, get some new pots or whatever. Yeah, that'll work. That'll work. Yeah, I mean, I won't sell the original pickups that came with this guitar because I have a feeling that somebody might want them if I do sell them. But I like there was an SS, sorry, what was it? Was an, I forget the name. SH plus in the bridge position, which I swapped out for a set of Porter pickups, which I did a review on, which I think sound great. So now all I need to do is get a neck pickup that I like and put it in there. I have an idea of who I want to go with for the neck pickup because there's some neck pickups that I really, really like. I'm very picky about my neck pickups. So if it all works out, I'll have a really nice HH configuration for the Surf, which I think is going to be really, really nice. I'm getting a bad reputation, guys, because I was watching one of Shane's podcasts or live casts of In the Blues, and I said hello, and he's like, "Hey, Tony's here," and Tony likes to swap out guitar pickups immediately. I'm like, come on, guys, I don't swap them out immediately. They're in there for at least 15, 20 minutes before I actually swap them. Anyways, I'm getting the reputation now for the pickup swap king, which I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but whatever. I've been thinking about the Thornbuckers. The Thornbuckers, to me, sound good. The ones that I've seen sound good. But there's a few sets of pickups that I know I really like. So, and they're possibly less expensive too. So, but I won't go with covered pickups. I usually like covered pickups, but I don't think covered pickups would look nice in this guitar, especially since I like the raw nickel covers. So I don't know, because if I go with a covered pickup, then the cab the pick guard has to be cut differently. So I got to make that decision. But I'm thinking uncovered. Yeah, Joey, I do the same. I usually will include the original pickups if I sell something like that is specifically like known for the pickups, right? Like if you sell a 52 reissue Telecaster, even though I don't like the pickups that are in it, I'll sell it with it, right? I've changed those pickups out as well. Um, Charles says, Tony You do you, buddy. Yeah, man. Bruce says, try a Seymour Duncan SL59 in the neck position. It will fit right in the existing slot and sound a bit like a PAF. I considered doing that. I considered going with a, slim mini humbuckers, right? That's what you call them. The thing is, I don't like. I mean, then I would have to put one here too, in the middle position, and I'm not sure that I haven't tried any of them, so I'm not sure I'd like them. I'm very very picky about the neck pickup, guys. I don't like neck pickups that are overly bass heavy or bassy. That don't have. I like my neck pickups to almost be the equivalent of a bridge pickup. I like to have brightness in my neck, except just maybe a bit fatter. So it's difficult. The only two pickups that I've really had no issues with that I like a lot are the ones made by Monty's Guitars. Really great sounding neck pickup in that one. And pickups that I had wound from High Order, specifically for my Tokai Les Paul. Sounds great. So I might just go with one of those. And I'd like to keep the existing bridge pickup, but I have to find someone that matches. So if somebody winds it for me, they have to make sure the polarity is not going to be out of phase, right? Because you can't just throw in any pickup and hope that it's going to work. Because most of the time, if the polarity is off, you're going to have out of phase happening on your guitars. Take it easy, Cushman. Thank you for joining us. I thought about that, Mike. I thought about that. Can you take it to a local? But I don't think they'll do that for under $100. But it's a good idea. I mean, I could always ask, right? I mean, honestly, I don't think it would be any less expensive. It may be. It's a good idea. I can always ask. Why not? I also tried. I mean, Bruce brought up a good suggestion with going with the mini humbuckers. I also considered going with the hot rails, and but again, I don't want to risk going with something and then just have the same situation where I'm not happy with it. Larry says, unless it's a super cheap $2 pickup, I don't see pickups that critical to the signal chain. I get more tone shaping from the amp and cabinet. Yes and no. I mean, yeah, you can definitely get more tone shaping out of your cabinet, your pedals, and whatnot. But to me, it's not a question of tone shaping. It's a question of the sound difference going from a humbucker to a single coil. I don't like that drop or difference when you're switching between. That's the thing that's bothering me the most. When you're on the pickup, if I'm on the single coil, I'm only playing the single coil. Tone shaping or the sound of the single coil independently, it's not the issue. It's switching between that bothers me. I don't know if you understand, but it's just one of those things. Charles says, I've thought about putting 3 of those single coil shaped SD pearly gates in my Strat, but that is $450 in pickups. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's why I don't want to risk it. I already have a nice bridge pickup, so I really only need one pickup, and that would be the neck. And if I can find one that matches, I'm going to be happy. And it's not going to cost me a fortune, except for the pick guard, obviously. Randy says, T-Man, there's some wiring mods, homework required, 500K, 250K combo, etc. That will work. Also try an SD quarter pounder in the bridge, almost a P90 sound. I don't want to change the bridge though. I like the bridge. I just want to get the neck happening the way I want it to be. Yeah, and I agree. You have to, like in this particular case, because there's, you're going from a humbucker to single coils, the value of the pot is going to have a big influence, right? Normally on a humbucker, you want to stay with 500K. On the single coils, you want to go to 250. And I think that's part of the reason why finding that golden match is such a challenge with this guitar. Bruce says, I have one part caster with an SDP rails in the neck and bridge position and SD SL59 in the middle. Great combination, very versatile. I think the SL59s sound really good. And the P rails are interesting. Like I've always wanted to try. If I can get some P rails at a good price, I might actually give it a shot, and see what happens. But for now, for the time being, I think just going with a good sounding neck pickup is really what I'm after for this guitar. And I'm going to be happy when I finally get it to sound the way I want it, because I've had this guitar for years, and I've always been struggling with it. The neck, like I said, is great. One of the best feeling necks that I've ever played. And this is one of the reasons why I love the Sir guitars so much. But I wouldn't be able to buy one today, because these guitars today are like almost, I think they're like $4,000. There's no way I would spend $4,000 on a guitar that's typically a Strat. I couldn't do it. So I'm happy I have it, but I would never, like, I wouldn't go out and buy another one today. That's just me. What else, guys? Oh yeah, I wanted to say something. I wanted to just something funny that I saw recently. Apparently, the Jimi Hendrix estate has approved the Jimi Hendrix bobblehead. That famous shot that you see of Jimi Hendrix kneeling over his Strat in flames on stage, right? Well, they're creating a bobblehead of that. I thought it was funny, but you know what? I'd want to have one of those. Anyways, they're about $50. There's a limited run. I think there's only going to be like 2,000 of them made, and after that, there's no more. But I thought that's cool, like having Jimi Hendrix over the guitar as a bobblehead. I don't know. It's a stupid thing, but I kind of like it. Charles says, sometimes you want what you want for a certain guitar. Run with the two humbuckers. The guitar is telling you what it wants. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I'm just sorry it's taking me so long to listen and just go with it and figure it out. Sometimes you have to live with something, and you got to go full circle to realize what's been in front of you all this time. I want a Tony bobblehead too, man. And actually, at one point, I was actually considering getting some bobbleheads made of my entire family, and I think I'm still going to do it because maybe as a Christmas stocking stuffer or something like that. It's hilarious because you can actually send them a photo, and they'll actually maybe holding a guitar or something. I think that would be hilarious. I want to do it. Yeah, $50 is not cheap for a bobblehead, but I mean, you're not going to get anything worthwhile for under that. It's going to be pretty cheesy, but whatever. It's just the like I see a Jimi Hendrix bobblehead sitting on my amp back there, and just doing this when I'm playing or something. I don't know. It's one of those things. I don't know why I would want it, but I would want it. The other thing recently, when we were talking about Van Halen earlier on, I recently watched the Joe Rogan podcast, and they had David Lee Roth on. And I like listening to David, even though he's kind of passe now, past his prime or past the expiration date, so to speak. He's got great stories. He's a good talker. But man, he looked pretty bad. He had a missing tooth. Uh, he looked pretty old. I mean, he's getting old, right? The hair starting to thin out and everything, and I felt bad for the guy. But he's still a good talker. He still has the attitude that he always had, and he's interesting to listen to because he's got some great rock and roll stories. But I wondered what happened. Like, why would he go on a show like Joe Rogan, where he's getting millions of views with a missing tooth? Like, get your tooth fixed, dude. I mean, you got the money. I'm pretty sure they have an Angus Young bobblehead somewhere. No, at the end of the day, maybe I'll start collecting like the Hendrix, Angus, Jimmy Page. Who else? Who else would we want to have as a bobblehead? Uh, Eddie Van Halen, maybe. That'd be cool. Get a little collection going. Charles says my 338 wants a Duesenberg Trem, but my wallet does not agree at the moment. They are currently tied up in negotiations. Yeah, have their people talk it over and see what happens. Sometimes you got to let the system run its course to see who comes out the winner. Oh man. Anyone else think that David Lee Roth looks like the Crypt Keeper puppet from the old Tales from the Crypt? Yeah, I think he does. I think you're right. I think you're right. That's funny. Poor David. He's getting a lot of flack. He's trying his best to stay relevant, but I think after somebody should just tell him, after a while, just like say, Dave, right into the sunset. You've done what you needed to do. You're no longer a rock star. The kids no longer, relate to what you did back then. As a matter of fact, they probably find it pretty creepy and inappropriate. But I mean, you got to know when's enough. I don't feel he's aging gracefully. I think he's trying to fight it. I think if you accept your aging process, it's fine. Like, you look at Jimmy Page. I mean, he's not a spring chicken by any means, but he's accepted it. I mean, he's got the white hair. He's rocking the white hair with a ponytail. He reminds me a little bit of like the ponytails that the classic pianists used to have, like Mozart or Beethoven or whatever. And he dresses appropriately. He's got his really nice looking clothes and tries to stay as hip as he could be without making it awkward, and that's fine. Take it easy, fat philosopher. Enjoy yourself at work tomorrow. Get your a good night's sleep. Sweet dreams. Dream about guitars and gear. Paul says, Tony, best Marshall in a box I've heard in years. Sorry, I missed it now. Paul, what are we referring to here? What are you referring to, Paul? Am I missing your part of your message? I don't know. Sorry, I missed it, Paul. Just type it in so I know what we're talking about. Are you guys looking at possibly buying anything on Amazon? I know the Amazon Prime days are coming up, and as a guitarist, I'm always looking for any kind of deals that are for guitar related stuff, but I don't find that the deals are that great, and it's like the stuff is out there. I don't know. Does anybody really buy guitar stuff on Amazon? Just wondering. The only thing that I saw recently that could be interesting, if you're interested in picking up something off Amazon, they have the Ibanez Tube Screamer, the they call it the new Tube Screamer, which is not new. It's been out for a while, a few years. Excuse me, a few years, and it uses new tube technology, which is, I don't know what it is exactly, but it's supposed to make the pedal sound more tubey. And I know that there's going to be a sale on that. You can actually save like $120. But originally they were trying to sell those things for like 250, which I believe is way overpriced. Um, and I saw comparison videos of that one over the TS9. To me, the TS9 still sounded better uh, if you're looking for a tube screamer thing. So at $120, is it really a deal? I don't know. I am not really interested in another tube screamer because there's so many freaking tube screamer clones out there today that you don't really need to spend that kind of money to get that sound. But I mean, I'm just looking for deals. Oh man, Keith, poor Vince Neil. I don't know, man. Vince Neil definitely seems like he's past his expiration date. And then the poor guy has gone through plastic surgery to try and fix his looks. He's way overweight. I mean, I don't know. I mean, again, they're trying. I mean, they're trying to make a living off the reputation of the past. But I mean, dude, not good. Yeah, I felt bad. I saw that video. Didn't sound good. Was forgetting the words. Was like reading the words. Yeah, poor Vince. I feel bad for him. Larry says, I ordered some pig hog cables. I think they are great bang for the buck. Um, what do you like about those cables, Larry? How much do they cost? Just wondering. I have a bunch of cables already, so I really don't need many. I honestly had cables. I have cables here that I've owned since I was a teenager. Whirlwind cables, which were quite common back then. I don't know if they even still exist today. They probably do. Um, I've had them for years. They still work fine. I definitely got my money's worth out of those cables. Joey says, I really want an Earth Purple Burl headless. Never had a headless. At $306 shipped and 30-day return window. I can't lose. Haven't pulled the trigger yet. Joey, I reached out to the people at Earth to see if they would send me a guitar to review because I don't know. I have my doubts. I think that, I mean, the guitars look good, but it doesn't necessarily mean they feel good. And I would have loved to just review one. Um, but it didn't work out. I think just because of where I'm located or the cost of shipping or whatever. The thing you have to remember is that even though they're offering a 30-day return window, sometimes it's at your cost. And if you're returning the guitar to somewhere in China or wherever they're being made, it's going to cost you a pretty penny to send that back. So do your homework before you buy it. I'm not saying don't buy it. I mean, they look like they have all the right features. I believe they're also putting stainless steel frets on those guitars, and the bodies look really nice as well. But is it worthwhile? To be determined. Huh. Keith says, I need a neck for a Mexican player strat. Where should I start? Are you looking for something very specific? Because you can definitely get Wormouth to make precisely what you want. The neck profile, the neck radius, the frets, the type of fretboard, they can do it all. It won't be cheap, but you'll get exactly the neck that you're looking for. You can also go through Music Craft. They make really nice necks as well. And if you're looking for something that is just like an inexpensive replacement, there's All Parts, there's Mighty Might as well. Maybe not as refined, but they're still They're still pretty good if it's just for a Mexican. Time catches up to everyone except Keith Richards. It's going to be a sad day when Keith kicks the bucket, man. I'm going to feel so bad. You know, Keith is great. He should definitely be considered like a national treasure because he's well spoken. I mean, you know, you would think he isn't, but he is. Very classy guy, very likable, great stories. And I mean, it's Keith. You know, he's been through so much and he's still around when other people are dropping like flies. So, you know, I wish him at least another, 40, 50 years if he can do that. God knows he's got the stamina so far to outrock me. That's for sure. I don't see myself doing that when I'm his age. Um, so Joey says $15 for a braided 20-foot lifetime guarantee. Awesome. I'll check them out. Like I said, I don't need another. I don't need some more right now. But hey, when something breaks, it's good to have a backup. Why not? Yeah, they used to be. The Mighty Mites used to have replacements on Amazon, but lately all I see is Chinese knockoffs. Don't buy a Chinese neck unless you've found something that works, because often you don't know what you're going to get. Like, you don't know if the truss rod's going to work. Sometimes the proportions are off, that it doesn't even fit the neck pocket properly. A lot of times the bottom of the neck is not, like, you can get a strat neck but it's flat, so it actually would fit a Telecaster body, and it doesn't fit a Strat body properly, depending on the neck pocket configuration. I don't know. I try to stay away from necks that are made in China. Paul says Colombo Audio Electronic Plexi Breed does JTM 45. Also 1959 100-watt super lead and 50-watt 1987. Totally real amp, authentic sound like your kit pedal. So how much does this unit cost? How come I've never heard of it before? Um, I should definitely take a look at it if that's the case. If it's affordable, I mean, I'm getting the Marshall sounds I need nowadays from my amps. But I mean, if you want to plug into another amplifier like a Fender and you want to try and get that JTM 45 sound out of it, it's always good to have. That's sort of the sound that I usually go for in an overdrive pedal. So yeah, that's I appreciate that. I appreciate the heads up, man. Randy wants to know if I have any roasted necks. I don't have a roasted neck. Not yet. I know they're more and more popular, but I haven't like gone out searching for a roasted neck specifically. Maybe one day. I like the look of some of them. They're really nice. At first, they didn't really grow, like, I didn't really like them, but they're growing on me now. The other thing you can do if you're looking for a neck is usually check out the Screaming Deals section in the Warmouth website. There's a little, very small icon at the top left side of the page called Screaming Deals, and they usually have like blowout sales on, I guess, maybe things that customers have ordered and then never completed the purchase. They often have bodies and necks there, so you can probably get a decent save yourself a couple of bucks. What I'm actually looking for right now, guys, for a separate build that I'd like to do, is I'm looking for a double bound black Telecaster body with one humbucker, just the bridge, no neck. If I can find something like that, it doesn't even have to be black. It could be a different color. but double bound. And I couldn't find them. I couldn't find something like that. I maybe have to have something custom made. But I don't want to go through the trouble of painting it this time because, especially when something's double bound, you have to scrape the binding and it's a little bit more hassle. But if I can't find it, I might just make it myself. We'll see. Maybe go with another sparkle color or something like that. But it's hard to get. I have sources for people that make bodies for Telecasters, but they don't make them bound. So I would have to get something somewhere else. If you guys have a source, let me know. Yeah, Larry, they're definitely Stratosphere for next, but I don't like recommending the Stratosphere because I've had bad experiences with them in the past. So they're there. Granted, they're there, but use at your own risk. You can find, yeah, on Reverb about 250 or so US, I would say. That's the going rate. It's harder. It's getting harder to find any kind of neck under 200 bucks these days. So get ready to pay at least that. So Paul says it's a small Italian company just stopped selling locally, $230 USD, but it makes stuff like JHS and Friedman sound like junk. Really? I like the Italian stuff. All the Italian stuff that I've tried has always been great. 230 bucks, a little steep. Why do they? Why do you say just stop selling locally? Does that mean that they won't ship outside of Italy? Mike says he's a couple of clicks away from ordering his first Wormouth neck. Just can't decide if I want to try stainless steel frets. What are people's opinions on stainless steel? I'll give you my opinion. This guitar has stainless steel frets. Stainless steel are great because they don't wear down as easy. So they last longer. So if you're an aggressive player and you get the divots in your frets, you won't have to worry about a fret change as often with stainless steel frets. On the other hand, they definitely have a specific sound. I don't know if you can hear it. You probably can't. But when you're playing unplugged, there's more of a pinging sound to the stainless steel frets. I don't know if you can even hear it. So that little pinging sound is the only difference that I can say that I hear from stainless steel frets. The other thing you have to also consider is if you do your own fret work, stainless steel frets are a little bit harder to work with because they're harder. So you're going to be, filing is not as easy, rounding off, recrowning, that type of thing, if you do your own fret work. If you don't, and you bring it to somebody, then there's nothing really to worry about. I think stainless steel frets are fine. Sean says that roasted necks are fragile. Dings and cracks come easier. Really? I never heard that before. Is it because of the drying process? It's good to know. I haven't had that experience because I haven't really played around with roasted necks as much. Larry's looking for a Strat neck, 22 frets with a Floyd nut. Can't find a good one anywhere. The Floyd nut thing is a challenge. If you're looking for something like that, I would say go to what's it called? Go to Musicraft. They will make you a neck, and the necks are very good. They'll make it exactly to your specs. Either that or Wormouth. They will make it exactly like what you want with the Floyd routing and everything. Quicksilver says a classic vibe 60s, double bound and route the bridge to fit a humbucker. I don't want to put a humbucker in it, Quicksilver. Sorry, I want to keep It's basically I want a broadcaster, but without a pick guard. So I want the double bound without the pick guard and without the routing in the neck, and just keeping the original Telecaster bridge pickup. That's what I'm looking for. Excuse me. Yeah, they exactly. Vox agrees. They last forever, but they do sound different. Quicksilver says replace the pick guard to cover up the neck pickup hole. Yeah, that's the thing. I don't want to have the pickup. I don't want to have the pick guard. You understand? I can easily go with a broadcaster pickup pick guard, but I don't want to. I don't want to do that. I just want it to be painted and without a cavity for the neck. I know it's a very specific request, but that's what I'm after right now. Keith says I almost hate to buy one from Fender if it's the same frets terrible, even wood lumpy where frets are cut into you after an hour. Yeah, what can I say, man? I mean, everyone's cutting corners. I think everybody, the bottom line is getting more expensive for these guitars, and I think the quality's starting to drop. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Am I getting cynical? Paul says, go to the site, listen to Brett Kidman's video. No, no, Paul, I can't do that. Brett is not a good influence on me because everything that he plays sounds so good. So I try I try and avoid his videos. Yeah, I'm just joking. I will take a look for sure. You might just cost me $250. Just warning you. Joey says sportfinitech.com has genuine authorized replacement parts. Email or call them when you have your parts picked out. They will cut you a deal. They are the same company that sells my beloved so that's a good tip. We'll check them out. Yeah, they do have the stainless steel frets do have a little bit more spank. There's a little ping. I hear a little ping when I play the stainless guitar. And Joey says Tone Ninja locking tuners, best damn replacement tuners. Period. Usually $50 a set. I like Tone Ninja stuff. I actually put a lot of the Tone Ninja nuts. If I replace a cheapy plastic nut in another build, I have some really nice Tone Ninja nuts. They make them for a variety of different guitars, and they're great. So I agree. I haven't tried the locking tuners, but eventually I may. So Paul confirms that they ship anywhere, but most videos are in Italian. Usually means the guy has only recently gone English and pushed international. That's okay. I understand Italian perfectly, so not an issue. Thanks for the tip. I'll definitely check them out. Wow, that's pretty cool. Paul says that the guy even offers to show you your pedal being made, so it's definitely boutique. If he's making them one by one like that, that's really something different for sure. Sure beats the mass-produced stuff that we're getting these days. Joey says, and he's answering Larry. He's saying, I was just fine paying retail for the parts, but they just took me on as a dealer so I can start getting my replacement parts in larger quantities for a much better price. Good to know. Bruce says, just ordered a new maple neck with rosewood board on eBay from a place in Canada for about 50 bucks USD delivered. Can't wait to see how it plays. It's finished in black, including the headstock. Interesting. In Canada, you say. I'd be curious to see where that is since I am in Canada. And I mean, 50 bucks, that's really cheap. Let us know how that turns out, Bruce. I'm curious. I'm always a little bit afraid and hesitant when the prices are too cheap. 50 bucks, I mean, that if they're being made in Canada, just the labor, I mean, how much time does it take to make a neck? How much this guy is he working for, like, below minimum wage? How is he doing it? I'm curious. What's the best budget fender available nowadays? That's an excellent question. Uh, Man, I like, the stuff that I like is not necessarily Fender. Some of the Squire stuff is great. The classic vibe stuff is great. I like the road worn Strats. I like them a lot. A lot of people don't like the road worn stuff. I have a couple of I have a road worn Strat and a road worn Telecaster. Some of the my favorite guitars that I have. Um, I mean, really, it's just a question of what you like, and you can get some great deals on some Mexican Strats that don't necessarily cost all that much, and they can play fine. Um, of course, then on the other end of the spectrum, you have the custom shop stuff if you have the budget for it. But if we're talking budget stuff, I mean, honestly, a lot of the made in Mexico stuff is just fine. There's a lot of like a reissue models as well if you want to have more like vintagey specs as well. Depends what you're after. It's hard to give you go for this one because I don't know what you're playing. I don't know what sound you're after. So I like the Japanese Fenders are great too. It's getting harder and harder to get a good deal on a Japanese Fender. The prices are going up. People know that they're good. So they're not inexpensive, but yeah, they're great. The one I have is awesome. I don't think I would ever sell it. Paul says selling pedals on Reverb has been great lately. Lately, I will sell a couple of pedals to pay for mine. I gotta still pop my Reverb cherry. I haven't sold anything on Reverb. I haven't even bought anything on Reverb. Um, Eventually, maybe I'll give it a shot, but I don't know. I haven't really. I kind of lost the taste for selling stuff on big websites like eBay and Reverb because of the cut that they're taking. I mean, they're taking a big chunk. eBay takes a big chunk nowadays with between the listing fees and the selling fees and the PayPal fees, and then you have to pay for shipping and everything else. I prefer to do my deals local. I just feel like, overall you can negotiate, you can see the stuff, you can play the stuff. Um, I don't know. It's just me. So Daryl did a review of the Earth 335 yesterday. He said the neck is better than his $4,000 Gibson. Could very well be. Who knows? You got to try it, right? Bruce says, I suspect I will have to level crown and polish the new neck, but at that price, who cares? Definitely, if you know how to do it. I do that anyways. Almost any guitar that I get, I normally check that out, and often there's something to do, at least a little tweak here and there. I hope if that neck is Canadian, it's made from Canadian maple. I hope so. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like they're probably imported through Canada. They may just be Chinese necks that are just being resold through Canada. I have a feeling, I have an inkling that I know who you're talking about. If you purchase this on eBay, There's not that many sellers from Canada, and I think I know who you're talking about. Be careful because from what I've seen, the necks are not necessarily one-to-one versions of a fender neck. They're slightly different. You can tell by the headstock and the way the fretboard meets the back of the neck and the routing for the truss rod and stuff like that. So just be careful. Sometimes they look like it, but they're not exactly the same. So if you're not picky, it's fine. But if you want something that's like an OEM replacement for your fender neck, shop around a little bit sometimes. Yeah, I think I know who you're talking about. Is this does he take pictures outside, like often on like a deck or something? Vox says my his nephew just picked up a made in Mexico Strat for 750 or made in Mexico guitar for 750. Yeah, not bad, not bad. You can get them used, right? You can still get them used for sometimes cheaper than that. Do you think a USA neck would fit a Mexican? Usually the USA necks are rounded at the bottom. The Mexican routing is a little bit different. They make them so that you can actually put. They should fit. They should fit. The Mexican routing is kind of different. They have these bigger like loops on the corners, but it should fit. Once the pick guard is in, you won't even see it. So Seth says, get a Squire and pleck it. You got to pleck it, man. For those of you who don't know what plecking is, ask Seth. He'll fill you in. Joey says, I've ordered all of my fretting tools from Crimson Guitars in the UK, super high quality, and about a quarter of the price of the Mac. Yeah, I want to try and stay away from StewMac because too expensive. I agree. I've ordered some stuff from Crimson before, and a lot of the stuff you can actually make yourself if it's not a specialized tool, right? So you can definitely save a lot of money. StewMac is really expensive. Sometimes you don't have a choice. You got to buy from them if you're looking for something specific. But if you can avoid it, Crimson is also a great place. Cool Tune says he's digging his Player's Telecaster. Really all around great guitar feeling. To me is important and feels very good. It's great when you find a good match for what you're looking for. In most cases, just be leery of 50s necks. They're slightly slimmer. Yes, I agree. I'm not a big fan of the very slim 50s necks. Like on the Squires, I had two different ones, and one the neck was substantially thinner. And that's the one I didn't like as much. Paul says selling on Reverb is fine, just don't buy. I'll try it. Actually, eventually I'll have to liquidate a few things. I'll give it a shot. I just don't want to be taken for a ride in terms of fees and all that kind of stuff. So I haven't really read all of the ins and outs in terms of their rules and regulations. I don't want to be dinged with something I didn't expect because they're taking a cut. Vox Guitar says I have a VM70 Strat by Squire, and you can set the action at half a string thickness at the 12th fret with no buzzing. Pleck not required. I have a couple of guitars like that too, and it really amazes me how low I can get without any buzzing. It's amazing. Not all of them are like that though. Yeah, the Squires are good. They are good, and actually they're coming out with a new line of Squires, and those will be interesting as well. Different colors available as well, which look like I might have to check those out once they're available. Prices are affordable, and they're good guitars. Yep, Fender is salty, definitely. Getting more salty by the day. Bruce says he sold some stuff on eBay recently, not guitars. They took 12.55% commission and included the sale price, shipping, and the amount they collected in sales tax before calculating the commission. Yeah, that's why I don't usually sell on eBay anymore. I used to sell quite a bit, not anymore. Chicago Music Exchange is good for use, but you have to email direct and do a deal. Yeah. Yeah, there's a couple of things that I've done like that in the past. If you have a good rapport with the music store, definitely worthwhile. There's a couple of great music stores in Canada, not necessarily where I live, which is actually a good thing because we charge more sales tax. So I actually get a better deal when I buy outside of Quebec and bring it in. Um, so I often do that just to save a few bucks. Larry says, I love Stumac, 50 bucks for 3 sheets of sandpaper. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You buy a little a string tree, whatever, and it's like, it ends up costing you 15 or 20 bucks by the time it's at your door. Joey says, I have an active contemporary Stratocaster. Sorry, Starcaster, an ice blue metallic, phenomenal guitar. I'm eyeing a new pink sorry, HH Strat with a Floyd right now. So your Joey is in love with the Floyds. He likes the Floyds a lot. I don't use my trem that much, so for me to go to a Floyd system is maybe a little bit of overkill, and I don't like the difficulty in setting up the guitar with a Floyd because I often do changes and mods, and just getting the Floyd to sit properly after doing something like that, it just takes a little bit more effort. So I kind of stopped buying guitars with Floyds and just go to the regular straight system. And sometimes I also like to play with alternate tuning. So not having a locking nut helps for that, right? Cool Tune says, not sure if you've seen my question earlier, but tips on getting the lowest possible action. I've adjusted both truss and bridge screws. Wood Nile, a little lower. Wood Nile. Okay, sorry, I don't get the last line there, Cool Tunes, but getting the lowest possible action. So, I mean, it's really a question of a balancing act when you're doing this. There's really three things you got to keep in mind when you're trying to set your action. A lot of people might skip a step, and that could affect things. So here's my take. This is how I do it. First of all, you want to make sure your neck is completely flat. Take the strings off. Make sure your neck is completely flat. You have a measuring tool for this. It's kind of like a ruler with some notches cut out for the frets. Put it down on there. Make sure you can see no light through the bottom. When it's touching your fretboard, that means it's completely flat. If it's not, you adjust your truss rod till it's completely flat. The next step you would do is you make sure all your frets are completely level. So with a fret rocker, you would go through and check your frets, make sure there's no high frets there, because if there's any high frets, you're going to have to raise the action to remove any buzzing that's going to be happening. So once you have your frets leveled, and I'm not going to tell you how to do that, hopefully you know how to do that. Once you have all your frets completely leveled, at that point you can put your strings back on. Now, depending on the gauge of your strings, you're going to have either more or less natural relief, right? Because the strings cause tension on the neck. So then what you would want to do at that point is to put a capo, whatever you want to call it, at the first fret, and take your finger and just press down on the string. And when you're doing that, you're basically creating a perfectly straight edge. And then you would sight down your neck And somewhere around the seventh fret, you would take a measurement. You would see whether or not your string is touching your fret. If it's touching your fret, you need a little bit more relief in the neck. So the neck needs a bigger bow. If it's too high and there's too much space, then you would reduce that and just tighten it up. And you would want to have a reading there. You can take a feeler gauge and just slip it in between your fret and your string. And depending on how hard you play, you can have more or less space there. If you're a heavy hitter, you want more space between the string and the fret. If you play softly, then you can actually have quite a bit lower action. It's really up to you, but you definitely need to have a little bit of space there, right? Um, I use a feeler gauge. I take 0.0220 as a space usually on my guitars. I leave it at that. And that will determine how close you can get to your frets without causing any buzzing. Then what I'll do is I'll just play all of the frets. Make sure I don't hear any buzzing. If you do hear any buzzing, then the string has to be just raised up a little bit at the bridge. That's basically how I do it. If you get everything adjusted just right, you can get generally quite low. Just going through the last questions, guys. Yeah, if the neck angle is funny, you definitely might have to. It would be better to use a micro tilt. I think the micro tilt is a great invention by Fender. I don't know if Fender invented it, but that's just a little screw that pushes the angle of the neck out a little bit so you don't have to shim it. Some people don't like the micro tilt because they feel over time it makes a hump in this portion of the neck. I can't really say. I don't really have a guitar that has a micro tilt feature in it, but I've rarely had to shim the necks on my guitars. Maybe I've just gotten lucky, but yeah, if you need to change the angle a little bit, you can definitely just shim it, get the action a little bit lower if you wish. I've seen those shims from Stumac. They sell them, I think. Yeah, they're pretty expensive. You can often just shim your neck with a business card. Just cutting off a piece of the business card and putting it into the pocket. Depending on where you need to adjust your neck, you should be either lower down or a little bit higher up. That usually works. A couple of sheets of paper sometimes is all it takes. So, guys, I'm going to be wrapping it up. It's an hour, almost 2 hours I've been yapping here, and I really appreciate the conversation. I like it a lot. There's a lot of great stuff here today that we shared. And my pleasure, Cool Tunes, for the tip. I mean, there's a lot of great videos out there on how to adjust neck, relief, action, all that kind of stuff. But you have to do it in a certain series of steps. Don't jump any steps because then you're going to be chasing your tail. But it's not that difficult. Once you learn how to do it, it's actually quite easy. Yeah, matchbooks work, playing cards work, business cards work. The thing with business cards is it's easy because there's different thicknesses. What if you can? I had the option of getting. If you go to places that actually print stuff, oftentimes they will have a sample book of different paper thicknesses that are like they're gauged up and down. It's like a sample, so you can see when you're ordering your paper what like let's say 50-pound stock feels like or 20-pound stock feels like, and it's different gauges. If you can get your hands on one of those, sometimes they give them to you. If you get your hands on one of those, you basically have a whole bunch of thicknesses that are basically gradiated all the way from the thinnest to the thickest, and it's a beautiful thing to use when you're trying to set up a guitar. Yeah, the micro tilt is a very, very handy feature. It's a great thing. Um, Joey says use a piece of sandpaper or a Duraline material picks for a shim. Yeah, the pick, that's true. The picks also. I've used picks before too, and that's another cool thing is because the picks don't lose their shape generally, and you can get them in different thicknesses, right? You can get the really bendy ones for acoustic guitars, and you can get the thicker ones as well. You just would have to cut out, maybe get a bigger pick. Some of the acoustic guitar picks that are bigger would make better shims because you can actually get bigger pieces out of them. Hey, thanks, Paul. Thanks for the compliment. I appreciate that, man. Hey, Rico. Rico's just joining us. We're about to end the chat here, Rico. But Rico says, "Good morning, Tony. I ordered the Tesla Shark HBs for my Firefly LP. They came in Friday. Love them. Thanks for the suggestion." Awesome, awesome. I'm glad to hear that, Rico. That's a great way for us to end today's show with another happy customer. If we can help people get good gear and enjoy their gear like Rico, I appreciate it. You've made my day. So I'm super happy with hearing that you're happy with those pickups, Rico. Cool Tune says, I'm comfortable with truss rod and bridge pins. Other stuff, don't dabble in that. I would need tools and training. Yeah, but Cool Tunes, it's not that difficult. It really isn't. You can save yourself a host of money, and it's really gonna be great because you can set up your guitars exactly the way you want. I mean, nowadays, I rarely ever go to a tech unless it's something I just don't want to spend time on. Like the only thing I would maybe go for a Tech 4 right now is if I wanted to change pickups in a semi-hollow body guitar. I don't want to spend time fishing wires through and pulling things out and stuff. So I'll let them do it. Not that I can't do a pickup setup or swap pickups. I do that all the time. I just don't want to spend that kind of time. All right, guys, that's it for today. Thank you for joining me for episode number 68. I hope you guys will tune in next week, same time, same place, Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hopefully, you guys could tune in, and we'll definitely continue our conversation from there. In the meantime, please stay tuned and check out the channel because there's videos I'm posting regularly. I just finished a mod on my uh, one of my Kramer guitars, the Kramer Beretta Salmon one that I purchased. I actually modded it for a specific video, which I'm going to post probably tomorrow if I finish it today for you guys. And that's a really cool, inexpensive mod that I wanted to show you guys. And then there's going to be a few more things that I have in store. So please stay tuned because there's going to be great stuff coming. If you're not already subscribed, of course, subscribe. If you want to support the channel, you can do so by grabbing some swag. I also put a coupon code for today's show. It's at the very bottom of the link that's going to show up. And you can save yourself 10% on any of the swag that is available there. And it helps out the channel. So that's it, guys. Have a great week. Keep on playing. Keep on rocking. And if you have any other questions after the stream ends, just email me. I'm happy to answer your questions. All right, guys. Take it easy. Thumbs up to everyone out there. Have a great Sunday and see you soon.